Hi, I am Shane with the Drum Center of Portsmouth in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. We are on the web at drumcenternh.com. Today we are talking about the best sounding birch drum sets. There's a lot of emphasis on maple drum sets, and birch seems to be in the back seat these days. I'm a huge fan of birch. I think a lot of you know that. And today we get to showcase what we feel to be the best sounding birch kits out there. We're going to start out with the newcomer to the group. And this is the British Drum Company Legend Series drum set. This is a 10-ply birch, but they use a cold press at their factory to compress the plies, so this 10-ply shell is only 6 millimeters thick. There is a lot of tone there. They have reinforcement rings that match the outer veneer to give a nice detailed look. They have this gorgeous badge and the Art Deco lugs. Just the attention to detail on these, really nice. The mounting system is rather unobtrusive, just 2 extra holes in the shell. I feel like it gives a nice, stout, stable feel when I play the toms. I'm able to hear enough of the note of the drum, just enough to not anger me. It has the perfect amount of balance and resonance, and the best way I can describe the sound of these is that they have a buttery slice. I've got that cut, but I've got that nice round bottom end. Snare drum on this kit is a very special drum. It's their Merlin series. This is something they designed to be their go-to snare drum. It is a 20-ply shell, but again, it's cold pressed, so it makes the shell thinner than you would believe, and it has cross-laminated veneers of birch and maple. The outer veneer is a tulip wood veneer, and then you have 2 maple pinstripes on there. This drum has serious tone, lots of bottom end, and tremendous amounts of body. I was able to visit the British Drum Company factory last summer, and when I watched how they make their drum shells, I could tell you I have never seen a company as fastidious about manufacturing a drum shell as these guys. Not only are they cold pressing each ply, and not only are they making the shells, they made the molds to make these shells, and they are measuring every single ply when it goes into the mold. They're not taking several different lengths of veneer and just making a shell. They're doing it 1 ply at a time. This attention to detail is not lost. The way these drums present themselves visually and to my ear, these are just as good as anything I've played. They sound amazing. If there's a set I was really excited about playing on this particular demo, it's this one, the Yamaha Recording Custom. The drum set doesn't really need any introduction. It is one of the most iconic drum sets ever made. And this latest generation happens to be my favorite. This particular generation features a North American birch as opposed to the Japanese Hokkaido birch of the prior generation. This birch has a little bit more bite going on. It's a little bit more dense, and you can hear it. They also use a weighted lug. The lug has a little bit of weight to it. What they found was that puts a little bit of compression on the shell, puts a little bit more focus, and gives it just a bit more of an attack. I really applaud them for all the R&D that went into this, because I know that they messed around with quite a few different weights of those lugs, and all of their efforts really show. The bass drum is exactly what I want out of a bass drum. And the prior generation was a great sound, but I just happen to prefer this sound. The toms have the cut and they have the slice that I want. And this actually is the very first time I ever get to play the birch snare drum. This is the 5.5 by 14 matching snare drum. And oh, is this a nice drum. I know I said that this is my favorite birch snare drum that I've ever played. I didn't mess with the tuning. I just play it as is. It sounds awesome. Real wood finish, 22, 10, 12, 16, 14 by 5.5. These are great. Next up is the Canopus Yaiba 2 all birch drum set. This has a 22-inch bass drum, 10, 12, and 16 toms with a 14 by 6.5 snare. Lots of body and tone. I'm loving this snare drum. This is their attempt at making one of their drum sets more affordable without sacrificing quality, and that's not very easy to do. So when you save all that money, well, what cost is it to you? Well, you lose the options. There's not a lot of options. You just get this size set up, 22, 10, 12, 16, and there's about 4 or 5 different finishes. And as long as you're okay with that, this is a great set to get. It's still made in Japan and has the Canopus level of quality and sounds awesome. Adam and I were actually talking about that. These remind us, these are close to the Recording Customs. They sound very close to the Recording Customs. That great birch tone. Bass drum I really, really like. Just lots of oomph on it. It has what I like in birch drums, in that it just gives me the note that I'm looking for, and then it gets out of the way. Lots of bottom end on the floor tom as well. There's really nothing I would change about the sound of these drums. Next up is the Sonor SQ1 Birch drum set. Now, for those of you who have watched our videos and seen enough of them, know that I'm a Sonor fanatic. I've been playing Sonor drums for about 15 years. First one I got was a Birch kit, so I am very knowledgeable about their Birch drums and also a huge fan. We have a 7-ply toms and a 10-ply kick, so the toms are about 7 mil, kick is about 10 mil, very sharp bearing edges. The shells are they're undersized by about 12 millimeter, which allow the head to fit on the shell, and that's really the hallmark of the Sonor sound. So that's something you need to consider when you're, going, why do Sonor drums sound different? Why do they sound so different from everybody else? That is really the main thing, is the undersized shell. The head floats over the shell like a timpani. The collar of the drum head is not rubbing up against the shell, causing any distortion or, like hugging the shell. You're just getting the Mylar is flush on these sharp edges, and so you get a very nice stick attack, straight staccato sound, and that's what these do. They sound great. Got an SQ2 snare on this one. This is gorgeous. This is actually a beech shell and 7x14, and this one sounds awesome. So these drums feature a lot of what you're going to get even up in the SQ2 series. What I like the most is the tune-safe system. So as you may have noticed, I don't have very delicate approach to drums, and so I have a tendency to knock them out of tune. And Sonor drums have the tune-safe system. So inside the swivel nut, it is lined with Delrin, which prevents the tension rods from backing out. Huge, love that. And also the sound-sustaining mount system, which is nice, it's unobtrusive, and even if it does shorten a sustain by a nose, I really don't mind, because I don't need a drum to go wong. I just want a nice note, and then I want it to get out of the way so that we can make room for the next group of notes. Something you may have noticed is that this particular set is the only set without a 10-inch tom. So for those of you that are about to comment on that, I hope you got that far to notice that, yes, we know that there is no 10-inch tom on this one. We actually have them on order, but they're not in at this time. So We didn't want to exclude this from the video, so we figured we'd throw the 12 and the 16 in there and hope that would suffice. The cymbals that we're featuring today are the Sabian, the new AAX Sabians, 15-inch hats, 18 and 20 crashes, and we've got the 22 ride. Links to get these cymbals are in the description below. These are our current favorite Birch kits that we have in the shop right now. We want to know what you think. Which one did you like the best? Which one did you like the least? Did we miss anything? Let us know in the comments below. Of course, the links to buy these drums are in the description below. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can be updated whenever we post new content like this.